Welcome back, friends. Today we have an exciting group of picks on the board. 46 picks in total. Featured is Coast Musical Wholesaler. Coast was a wholesaler on the west coast of the United States. They had offices and distributors out of San Francisco and Los Angeles. They were an independent business for a long time, going back to the 30s, perhaps earlier. And then they were acquired, as so many music companies are, by another business. Here we're looking at 15 distinct shapes, at least 15 different tortoise shell celluloid styles, 2 logo types, all 3 major grips that D'Andrea made during this period are featured. And every one of these picks except one is made by D'Andrea. So let's just go through them now. I mentioned 2 types of logos, and I have them separated as such. This is what we call the harp logo right here, and this is a straight logo right here. You could see 2 side by side right down here. The harp logo and the straight logo. The major grip styles. Let's take a look at that once again. Here we have the whole grip, as you could see here, and you could see here, very obvious. Same thing with these 2 mosaics, whole grips. Less obvious are these right here. They have to be turned over in order to see that really nice half-moon cork pad on both of those. And then we have the corrugated style. And then we have several picks in the corrugated style. And here it is again. That really nice corrugation, and you could see it there. That's clearly D'Andrea, and it come in really nice too. Sometimes you could even see the DA. There's a portion of it seeping through this side, but that's not a clear print. But that was part of D'Andrea's corrugation, to have their initials also embedded in that corrugation. I have these divided up into periods. Let's take a look at the oldest group. This is the oldest group right here, possible exception with this one here. But you could just see by the celluloid styles, we're looking at various wheat straws, some flaming colors here, really rare variations here. Not quite wheat straw, but we have slow gin on ice here. We have another wild wheat straw variation right here. And I want to bring those up to you, so you could just take a closer look at them. And let me grab another 2 while I'm at it. And even a 4th if I can. So you could see all those different gorgeous colors. It'd be nice if the camera would focus a little bit. I think you get the idea. There's one. Oh yeah, that's celluloid. Wow. Very distinct. Jumps out at you. Same with those 2. Now that they're closer, you can see how different they are. But this is the older group, and once again, the giveaway is the celluloid style. We're talking mid-50s to early 60s on this group. Top group here, we're looking at the 1960s, perhaps a few into the 70s. And same thing here, and same thing here, 60s into the 70s perhaps. Now, I mentioned these were all made by D'Andrea but one, and the one that isn't is right here. And I wouldn't even know that had I not examined it closely and saw that it had a Japan stamp on it. And very vague Japan stamp. So at one time, they may have attempted to have Japan make their picks. Unknown if that was before or prior to D'Andrea. It's not focusing very well there. There it is. You can catch it. Now, obviously extremely rare since there's only one of them on the board. The mosaics, as we see here, were probably made in all these different shapes. But since they're much older picks, they're very difficult to come by. So are these colors. These are hard to come by. Now, I acquired most of these in my early years in the 1990s. I live here in the LA area, so I would find them outside. But also, a gentleman at the time, now deceased R.C. Allen, was familiar with the Coast Company, and he had a number of them, and we did some trades at the time. R.C. had some great picks from the 50s and 60s in the Los Angeles area, including a company called Pacific, which we'll see soon as well. So what else do we want to take a look at here? Here's a nice distinctive celluloid style DeAndrea did not use very often, the red speckled. We also see that showing up on some Herco picks, but that was not the desired style. So this red speckled, even though it stands out on its own, for whatever reason, wasn't used that frequently, but it was in fact used. White picks, you could see variations here in terms of the composition. This is obviously a ivory white, and this is a whiter white here. Same here, a little ivory going on. But what's really neat on this 350 shape, and the 350 is simply the DeAndrea 346 with whole, is we see this blueprint. Now, we saw that blueprint occurring with very few other picks, but one of them was Gibson from the same era too. So I think there was more common use of this particular nice deep shade of blue back in the late 50s, in the early 60s. Two different sizes of triangles represented here, all sorts of mandolin picks. Now, I remember telling you at the beginning of the video we have 15 distinct shapes. So what I want to do now is just go ahead and take a look at what those distinct shapes might be and isolate them from the rest of the group. And we'll have a look. There's that gorgeous 348, which is really much larger than the 351. We're just going to keep pulling them off here till we have all the distinct sizes represented, or shapes, I should say. Same as that one there. And so we have this 366. This is 366. That's the 360. And of course, you'll find those on the DeAndrea guide, which I have done a video on as well. And, I've often emphasized the importance of learning, at least getting a visual picture of what the DeAndrea shapes are. So let's count them up and see what we got there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I mentioned 15. So let's see where the 15th just might be here, or maybe I just overcounted. So we'll go with 14 from now up. Here it is right here. That Japanese pick is in fact a distinct shape. So there we have them. Take a look. 15 distinct shapes. Now, if we added in catalog number changes, because DeAndrea with this shape, but if it had a hole in it, it had a different catalog number, would have several more catalog numbers. But we're just going to stick with that for right now. Another final look at a really good harp logo before we go. And you could see why it's called a harp logo, because the coast name crosses over a harp, and sometimes referred to the harp and shield, and there's just a straight logo. But if you've run into any coast picks, folks, put them in your collection. They are rare. There are no modern coast picks, so any coast pick you find is a vintage pick. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll be seeing a lot more. Joe Macy, FindPick7 at yahoo.com. Free feel to rate me right here at Yahoo, or if you want to send a private message, you have my email address. Take care for now. Bye-bye.